guys, in today's review is on a model I've been after for a few years, and this model is the Bachmann LMS Jinty or 3F, and I wanted a Pacific livery. I wanted the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway one, which I have here. I have in the past reviewed a Hornby Railroad one. I wasn't too impressed with it because it kept stuttering on the track. So I finally got my eyes on this one, and the code for this one is 32-233. It came out in 2012. It was retooled in 2004, if I have my facts correct, so it's a whole new tooling. The eras for this, I believe, are Era 2 and Era 3, which is pre-grouping and grouping, or Big 4. It does have a DC chip on board. I believe it's an 8-pin. It also has a 3-pole screw round can. I will be honest with you guys, this one is a little noisy runner. It's been sat on someone's collection and it hasn't been used. It's ex-Hatton stock. It's brand new. I finally got my hands on one, so let's get in the review and see if it's any good, shall we? So here goes. So with the model, you don't get any detail parts to add at all, but you do get 2 leaflets. One is an exploded diagram of the Jinty model and what goes in it, and there's a few warnings on the side about ordering parts and running in. So Bachmann recommend that you run it in for 2 hours in total, so an hour each way, because of the type of drive it has. And all the parts are coded, so if you want to get spares, you can. Then the second leaflet is mainly a warranty, but there's a little bit of maintenance and care at the front, which I'll just show now. So again, it tells you about running it in N or O. Should do second radius. Cleaning and maintenance, please take care, do not use household oils and lubes for your model. If your track is dull or dirty, please clean it. DCC, if you want to DCC, fit it. And then the storage, that's basically it. Like I said, the rest of it is warranty and the collector's club. So moving on to the loco itself now, let's start in the usual places, which is the lower half of the front. We do have an M pocket and a couple already applied from the factory on both ends. We also have some guard irons to knock stuff off the tracks. Even though this is an older tooled model, it does have metal sprung buffers, front and back, and they are round, and I think they're black as well, painted black. Again, I have no time for sprung buffers in double O, they're a bit pointless in my opinion. But at least we have them on this model. The buffer beam itself and shanks, they are red. We also have some riveting going on as well, quite a lot of rivets actually on the buffer beam itself. There is a steam powered vac pipe front and back, and then I think we have a metal hook in the centre which is in black as well. Moving up just a little bit, we have the usual 3 lamp irons. We also have quite a lot of rivets dotted around on the footplate or chassis. There's quite a lot of rivets everywhere you look. We have some bracing and some supports as well. We have the number of the loco in white in the middle of the smoke box door, which is 23. We have, I think it's a metal handrail, just a little bar going across, and then we come to another lamp iron at the top, and then the chimney. But if you look round the smoke box itself, it's not in matte black or anything, but there is, again, tons and tons of rivets, which is quite impressive saying it's an older tooled model. As we now move on to the loco side itself, there is some differences with this model. So around the other side, I believe next to the cab itself, I believe there is a water gauge that was outside. I believe that is correct. There isn't one around this side, as far as I'm aware, it's only that side. We also have some sort of ejector or some sort of pump around there near the front. Again, that all seems to be fine and separately applied as well. And when I touched it, it did seem to be metal. Some of the parts seem to be metal. So let's start where the smoke box door is. As you can see, we have tons and tons of rivets around there. We also have it in black as well. There's a splasher as well on the running board. The running board itself is metal, it's die-cast metal. If you look between the boiler and tanks, there is no inside motion there, it's just a black thing. Also, if you look closely enough, only if you look closely enough from certain angles, you can see the DCC 8-pin chip just showing its face there. There's also some self-applied handrails on the tanks as well, and I think some steps too. So this is a Fowler design. It is a LMS one, and this one is in a pre-grouping / grouping livery. It is in the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway Prussian blue without any lining. We have the initials on the tanks. We also have a hole in one in the tanks as well, which is to fill the sanding boxes up. That's a great touch, you can see through that. We also have some steps on the running board. We also have a cab door. We have the number again of the locomotive, which is 23, and then we have a builder's plate down below, which is legible for the naked eye, but I'm struggling to see it. Hopefully the photos coming up will show it in a decent light. On the cab side, we have, I think it's a 3P and a 3G, which is passenger and goods. So this is technically a mixed traffic under the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. Under the LMS, there were 3F. There's also, I think it's Temple Coombs down below at the bottom. You can just about see it. I think that is the shed it is allocated to. As we move on down just a little bit, I have already touched on the steps by the cab and just over the front driving wheels. I think they could be a metal piece. We also have, like I said, the running board of the chassis itself is die cast, and there is a few rivets on there if you look closely enough. Again, I think that's in the blue as well. Again, no lining. Like I said, this is a 3F under the LMS, and it's a 060T by Fowler. We do have the axles covered up as far as I'm aware. We also have the rods, they are metal. If you look just past the wheels, you can see some of the brake shoes. You can also see the outside brake rigging this locomotive has. And you can also see the sanding pipes as well and boxes. There may be some other details under there that I haven't noticed or can't tell what they are. But all looks to be self-applied and well done as well. There's no cosmetic issues with this model. As we now move on to the part in a modern day-ish steam locomotive review people look forward to, and that is the cab detail. So for me, the cab detail does show its age, if I'm honest with you. There is stuff in there, don't get me wrong, there is stuff in there, but it's not painted. We have a massive glazing bar in there too for the windows. There is no flickering firebox or anything like that. Like I said, nothing in there is painted, but there is stuff in there. But are you going to see it when it's going around? Probably not, but it does show its age. The cab does show the age of the model. As we now move to the back of the locomotive itself. So like I said before, we do have the name pocket and some guard irons to knock stuff off the track already fitted to the loco. We also have metal sprung buffers, and they are round like the front. We also have the buffer beams and shanks in red. And if you look closely enough, there's quite a lot of rivets on the buffer beam again. We have a self-applied hook as well in black, which again I think is a metal piece. We also have a vat pipe or a steam pipe attached to the model from the factory. As we move up just a little bit, we do have the usual 3 lamp irons, and then we have one just above the centre one. It's quite a crowded space there for the lamp irons. They're in black and they are separately applied by the looks of it. Again, the back of this is in the Prussian blue of the Somerset and Dorset Railway. No lining, no steps as far as I'm aware. The top half of the bunker does come out a bit, and on that we do have, I think it's the water capacity plate on the back in white font. Again, that you can read out with the naked eye. And if you look closely enough, we do have these coal rails around the outside of the bunker. And then if you look in the centre, there's just a little lip. Not sure what that lip's for, but that is there as well. These are plastic, I believe, and black. If you look just past the coal load itself, which I'll talk about in a minute, you can see we do have windows. I think they've been glazed. We also have the bars attached to them, which could be a moulding piece, but it's very, very well done. And again, we have the Prussian blue as well, and tons of rivets at the back of the cab. Now, as we do an aerial view on top of the locomotive. So like I said, I will start with the coal load. The coal load itself doesn't look too bad. I don't think it's removable, but there is room in there if you wanted to add your own. Like I said, we do have the coal grabs, or coal rails there. Moving along, we do have a cab roof, which is in mainly black, but the rail ducts either side in the straight line are in the Prussian blue of the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. We also have a few rivets on there, and we have a vent which doesn't move or anything like that, but it's there at least. We move to the front of the cab and the tanks. So let's start with the front of the cab. The front of the cab has the 4 windows that the LMS have, and they have a lovely gold trim around the outside of all of them, which is fantastic. Like I said, I think it's a glazing bar in the inside, but on the outside they look quite flush to me. We have a plastic whistle, which is done okay. Gotta be honest with you, it's done okay. And then we have, I think, turned metal safety valves, which is a nice touch. Again, there is no lining around the cab or any of the boiler, it's just in the Prussian blue. I did say we would mention the tanks themselves. On top of the tanks, they are in black. Each tank is slightly different as far as I'm aware. One of them has the fireman's use, as I want to call them, where you put the fireman's tools. So that must be the fireman's side. And I think there's a few other gadgets on there as well. Then on the other side, I believe we have, which I think is a water gauge. That must be the driver's side. Again, I think there's a few more different piping and stuff on there, because you've got the pump around that side. So yeah, the tanks are different. Like I said, they are in black. The boiler itself, again, is in the blue. You can see where the lining should be, but it's not. The dome itself is a separately applied part. And then when you get to the front, again, where the chimney is, it's in black. Again, I've mentioned it before, with all them rivets that are on there. It's quite a lot of rivets. And they've come out crisp, if I'm honest with you. And I think we have a chimney as well. Not sure if it's separately applied or part of the moulding, but it is there. If you look closely enough on the running boards, you probably can see a few more rivets too. And finally, we come to do an underneath look at the locomotive. So this does have, all 6 wheels do pick up, and it's a copper strip. I think it is 2 screws to take off the base keep plate. I'm 99% sure it's hardwired, which is a pain. But if you look closely enough on the base keep plate, where the rear wheels are, where the firebox would be, you can see some sort of grate down there. I think it does go down a bit, a step down. So I think that's modelled in. Like I said, there probably is some more details underneath that, but I couldn't see any. The brake rigging, like I said, is already applied. The standing pops feed to the wheels, and the brake shoes do line up with the wheels. To take the body off, you have to take off the coupling pockets, both of them, and there's 2 screws, one at each end. Take that off, and the body's a little tight, but it comes off. The chassis itself, like I said before, you can see the 8-pin connection where the motor should be, that is there. You can also see the motor and all the cogs. Again, Bachmann recommend that you run it in for an hour each way because of their mechanism. But again, it's very easy, very simple to service and put fresh oil in. Like I said, I'm just not too sure if the base keep plate is hardwired or comes off by itself. And then we have the buffers at the end as well. So yeah guys, that's it on the tracks. Like I said before at the start, this has been sat on someone's collection. It hasn't been used at all. I have serviced it. It does sound a little loud, yes, but that's only with the shell on, which I'll explain at the end. So next up will be the usual test that I do with my locomotives in the review, which is second radius, see if it can do second radius if they are built for that, and my new points test. So let's bring it on, shall we? So here goes. Not bad for an older model. What we're talking at here? Oh, just before the 30. Let's see if we can do backwards. These points are quite close, so in a lot of dead zones. No issues there, all quite impressive for an older tooled model. So yeah, for a model that's been sat on a shelf or sat in someone's collection and not ran, it managed the points pretty well. I've got to be honest with you, it did stuff occasionally, but then points are hardly used, and it proves it can do it. Also, it did second radius as well, no issues. So next up will be some slow speed, and I shall find it a train to pull. So here goes. Little buzzing. What's that? 20. Yeah, look, a little noisy. I have serviced it. Let's speed it up. So yeah guys, that's the end of the running session and the review. I will apologise once again if mine does sound a little loud at running. I have taken out the old lubrication and oil and I've replaced it with 3 different lubrications, 3 different oils, and it still seems a little loud. But with the shell off, it's a lot quieter, so I'm guessing it's something to do with the shell. So I am sorry if it seems loud. That being said, I'll tell you what was pulling, the train wheel was pulling, which was a tiny freight train under the Somerset and Dorset. I believe these were passenger locomotives, not just freight. So some mixed stock there. So price before opinion. So this is second hand, but technically brand new. It's ex-Hatton stock that someone was selling on eBay, and it is brand new. I've checked over, nothing's been out the box. It's perfectly fine. I think it was only out the box for the photos. Yeah, perfectly fine. I paid £105, give or take, not including postage, because I wanted this specific livery. If you were to get the equivalent today from Bachmann, which I think has got a next 18 pin or next 21 pin instead of an 8 pin, you are talking around £135 from Bachmann. I think they do the LMS livery, they do a BR livery, and I think 1 or 2 preserves. I could be wrong. And if you look at the same sort of models from the shops, depending on the shops, depending on the prices, the lowest I could find it for was £115. Again, that doesn't include postage. For me, the pricing is what it is. For me, I think I got a good price with mine. I wanted a specific livery. I don't know if Bachmann have made, apart from the DCC chips, I don't know if Bachmann have made any alterations to it. So that being said, in my opinion, this could easily be a contender for a slight retool by Bachmann. Give it some cab detail, give it some inside motion, block off the pin if they haven't already, and maybe put, I think it's pogo sticks to the pickups instead of, I think it's hardwired, which again, I don't know why, but it is what it is. This was tooled back again 2004. Do I like it? Yeah, it's a lovely model. Like I said, it could be a little bit loud. It's a lovely model, lots of details, and it matches the price, I guess, for me. Again, I don't see many of these Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway stuff, but we've quite a lot of rolling stock in their livery coming out. Maybe we might get a few more Jintys, either a retool or a brand new locomotive from another manufacturer, who knows. Like I said, it runs pretty well. It did the points, did second rate, just no issues. Even the swap over lines, it did that perfectly fine. I was a little bit worried it being sat around for, what, 10, 15 years or so, that it wouldn't be a good runner, but it seems to be a perfectly good runner. Some of the running session might be a little bit fast for my liking. That was about 28 on the Gauge Master Combi, and then I slowed it down because it got a bit too fast. As the more it ran, the faster it got, so I slowed it down to just below 20. And it was perfectly fine going over the points, no issues. I think Bachmann have done a good job with the model, in my opinion. Like I said, you could do some upgrades here and there. If not, Bachmann should put it in a cheaper range. I keep saying this, in a cheaper range, a bit like their railroad, just to make it a bit more affordable. It hasn't got the high detail that commands the higher prices, in my opinion. But for me, it is slightly better than the Hornby one. I did have a Hornby one many years ago, and this is definitely a lot better than the Hornby version. But the Hornby one is aimed at different people in the hobby. So for me, at this price, and even the shop prices for the new Next 18, it's not a bad price. Like I said, I don't know if there's any upgrades been done to it. Mine ran perfectly fine. And yeah, it is an iconic steam locomotive by the LMS. So that was my take on a Bachmann 3F or Jinty locomotive in the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway livery. Please take care and goodbye.